So today's developments are enhancements to the CAN testing board, which I've been working on flat out for the last couple of days. So what we have here is we have the LTO CAN boards on the base plate there, which you've seen before, and we have a Master Obdiic&C CNC down here. This is like the standard Obdiic&C CNC. Then we have a slave one over here, and this might be the MCM or the ECM, and then we've got the 6 LTO boards which you've seen before, and that was all previously connected on one CAN bus. So what I've done now is I've split the CAN bus in half down the middle. So this side, these 3 LTO boards, the master, are one CAN bus, and then this side we have the 3 LTO boards and the slave, and we also have the video output card as well. That's also on this bus. That is another bus. So if you imagine in an HCH2 the CAN connections between the ECM at the front and the various IDs that uses, and the MCM at the back and the other units at the back and the various IDs they use. So this side could be the MCM side and this side is the ECM side. So normally they would all be on one bus, but we've put this device in the middle, and this is my man in the middle CAN device. So basically these 3 boards and the master on the bus on this side, they go to the master here, okay, and then the slave board and these 3 LTO boards and the slave here and the video, they're connected to another bus on that side. So we've got the 2 buses split, slaves looking after this side, the master's looking after this side. So we've put this into the middle of what would normally be a complete CAN bus. So then what we have here between these 2 boards is we have the quite fast SPI interface, serial port, I think it's serial parallel, I can't remember anyway. Basically what happens is there are 2 buffers running here, and they're basically the master here at the top has a clock, and every time the clock increments, a bit is shifted out to this one here, and then a bit is shifted in from this one to that one. So it's basically a circular data transfer going on continuously here, and I'm running this at 8 megahertz, that's 8 million bits a second, and the CAN bus is only 500 kilobits a second. So we are quite ahead on the speed front. And at the moment all I've got this doing is passing through all information. So everything on this bus which appears on this side is coming into the master. The master's just getting that, sending it out on the bus bit by bit to the slave, and the slave is transmitting it on this side of the bus unmodified. And the slave is doing the reverse. So everything that's on this side of the bus is being received by the slave, and that's going out to the master, and that's being retransmitted on this side of the bus here. So what it will allow us to do, it allows us to attack the signals in the middle. So if we have an interesting packet which comes in from the master, which might be our IMA control packet, then what we can do is we can open that packet, modify it, and then pass it to the slave, which then squirts it out to the MCM. So that might be the basis for our manual control for HCH2, CRZ, etc. It's been an interesting project. It's taken like 2 or 3 days solid work to get to this point, where it's just about passing through the signals. There are a few little signal glitches which I've got to sort out, but at the moment it's basically working. So it's not, these 2 aren't modifying anything. So if we look down here at the master, on the top line here, top 2 lines, it's sending out just some test data there, and on the bottom 2 lines there, it's receiving back the data there, and that's just has occasional glitches in, but that's basically passing through the our man in the middle, going to the slave, and being sent back, going back through the man in the middle again, and then back to the master. So that's good. There aren't any glitches at the moment. It seems to be more stable the longer I leave it to run. Now, none of these are crystal controlled. These are all running on the internal PIC resonators, so that is not great for super accuracy, and especially running 8 megahertz. We only need it to be off a little tiny bit, and we could run into timing issues. So that may well be where the problem is. So once I get these boards done with crystals and it's all more accurately controlled, hopefully we should get rid of the glitches. I mean, there haven't been any glitches for a while now. I'm going to add a counter to count glitches. So the master here is also sending out a hello world signal to the video interface card, which you've seen here. This is on the other side of the man in the middle. So what's happening is the hello video signal is being put onto the CAN bus in a little special packets going into the master, shifted out into the slave, sent back out of the slave CAN bus onto this side of the bus, received by the video board, and then finally it comes into the video monitor there using the Telemate chip, as you're familiar with. So that's where we are. That's all working really quite well, apart from the very odd occasional little glitch, and as I say, it seems to run better the longer you leave it. So whether things tend to sort of stabilise temperature wise, etc., I should think that's probably something to do with it. As I say, none of this is crystal controlled yet. So this is what I'm working on at the moment. Man in the middle CAN. It's working quite well. Allows us to split our bus on HCH2 and similar things. Obviously all this research is great for just normal insight stuff, as we were proposing for the Obdiic&C CNC, which is to have our master Obdiic&C CNC and our slave Obdiic&C CNC in the ECM or MCM for the IMA control. All the other things, obviously they wouldn't be on a split CAN bus, they'd just be talking to each other directly, so that'd be very fast and reliable. But this man in the middle thing is just simply two Obdiic&C CNCs with CAN boards on, running as fast as they can. These are 32 megahertz PICs. If I go to the next PICs up, I can go to 64 megahertz, which gives me another doubling in speed. It also doubles the SPI bus, which runs between these two. This is the fast bus, and that gives us more speed and should allow us to have more data throughput. Although it seems to cope quite well even on the slowest SPI bus setting, which is only 500 kilobits per second. It seems to cope just about with the data from the CAN bus, but I'm running it at 8 megahertz at the moment, just to give me some overhead, because we will need to do some manipulation in the master on the suspect packets or the IMA control packets when they come in, before we pass them to the slave, which then squirts them out on that side. So what we got there then, just to recap, is we've got two separate CAN buses running. We've got a CAN bus on this side with the master and these three boards, split down the middle, and then we've got another CAN bus on this side with the slave, these three LTO boards and the video board. So the CAN bus on this side feeds into the master, SPI interface between these two, slave outputs to the CAN bus on this side, and vice versa. So information coming into the slave is transferred to the master and comes out on this side. Information from the master comes in here, transfers to the slave and out on that side. So it's just a two-way full communication exchange at the moment, and that's where we are.